As ever, a lot of the papers talking about the big Euro crisis summit today. Angela Merkel and Nicolas Sarkozy both here in Paris today.
That's right. And Le Figaro, the right-leaning newspaper, is very optimistic about this meeting. It says that Merkel and Sarkozy are in Paris to find solutions to the crisis. Now, according to Le Figaro, the hot topic of the Eurobonds is not on the agenda, and Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel will talk more broadly about the governance within the EU. Now, according to Le Parisien, they're a little bit more realistic about this meeting. They say that the summit is first and foremost to reassure investors when both countries are facing this mounting financial crisis. Now, Nicolas Sarkozy and Angela Merkel are going to have to show that the Franco-German relationship is rock solid, and they're going to have to try to find a way to avoid the contagion of the Greek debt crisis to the rest of Europe, according to Le Parisien. Now, Le Parisien Inside looks at why this current crisis is going to force the EU to have to reform itself, and it looks at four major questions facing each country within the EU. First of all, who has more power between the individual states and the EU? Because in theory, the EU is a confederation of sovereign states. Second of all, it looks at how a country, for instance, like France, has given up part of its sovereignty by joining, for instance, the Eurozone. Third of all, how has this crisis been exacerbated by the absence of a common political policy within the EU? And fourth of all, is the European government a feasible project? Now, there we go.
And Le Monde looking at Eurobonds, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Now, according to Le Monde, this is the elephant in the room. It says that Paris and Berlin are not yet ready to pool European debt. But according to Le Monde, this idea is gaining ground in Germany now. According to this article, Germany's priority is to maintain the Eurozone with all its member states as they are. Now, this is going against what U.S. billionaire George Soros suggested in Der Spiegel last week, that Germany and Portugal should leave the Eurozone. He also suggested that Eurobonds could be a way to save the euro. Now, according to Le Monde, this idea is gaining ground within the opposition in Germany, because the country was originally kind of cold towards this idea. They didn't want to have to support all of the Eurozone and bail everyone out if push came to shove.
Now, one of the papers, they're looking at what this means for Nicolas Sarkozy. He's got the elections coming up in 2012.
That's right. This is the La Tribune, which is the business daily here. Now, it says that this is the impossible equation for Nicolas Sarkozy, and you see a picture there of Rubik's Cube. Now, three big challenges facing the French president are how to reduce public deficit when growth last semester was zero. Also, how Nicolas Sarkozy is going to have to increase taxes to increase government revenue, which is always a bad idea in an election year. And also, there's the European challenge, and that concerns his meeting with Merkel today.
World Youth Day, kicking off in Madrid. Catholic paper La Croix looking at that.
That's right. Now, according to La Croix, Madrid is getting a facelift. Now, this is the 26th edition of the World Youth Day celebration, and the Spanish capital will hold 450,000 worshippers for the 6-day event. Now, the big highlight, of course, is the Pope's visit on Thursday, but the Catholic Church is drawing a lot of criticism for the cost of the event. Now, this is an article in Le Figaro, which says that it's going to cost $72 million, and some of that is tax money. And this is a hefty price tag when Spain is in the middle of an austerity drive. And it's sparked a real scandal in Spain, with a lot of criticism coming from Los Indignados, so this movement that started in May calling for reform. Now, they say that they're not against the Pope, but they're just against the Spanish state paying for his visit. For instance, one of the perks is that pilgrims will get 80% off public transport, while many Spanish citizens are seeing an increase of 50% in transport costs.
And finally, we're all back at work, but not everybody is. Le Monde, they're looking at how billionaires spend their holidays.
Absolutely. Now, this is an interesting article given the current market crisis, but it sees how typical billionaires spend their time off. Now, they're called HNWIs, high net worth individuals. And according to the article, their habits haven't changed very much in recent years. The hotspots are still the same: the Hamptons, the Palm Beach in the U.S., the Moustique Islands, and of course France, says Le Monde. And other than having some big ideas like having heated pools, mansions with lots of rooms, and helipads, they're just like you and me. They just want some rest and recreation, and of course big yachts.
Brilliant. And now you know what they are, HNWIs. That's right,
Absolutely.
Isn't it? Florence, thank you very much. That's Florence with today's look through the French newspapers. Coming up.